So because I know we have to begin the webinar, if you just joined us, please introduce yourself on the chat box. We'd like to hear from you. Even for the others who have introduced themselves earlier, if you can share your contacts, your website, LinkedIn profile, please do so on the chat. This session is really meant to be interactive. It's not a top-down approach or content being loaded onto you. It's more for just learning about each other and actually seeing how we can network. At the same time, also see how technology can be used in our own businesses to scale our impact, to develop new partners, and even to grow our business to the next level. So please feel free. I just like to set the ground rules for the session today. Because we're doing a Zoom platform, I'd request that everyone just remain on mute unless you want to speak. You can definitely use the chat box for asking questions, and my colleague Martina also will support me in ensuring we capture all the questions today. And today we'll have two of our facilitators here today from Oracle. We are so honored and privileged as E4Impact to have the experts join us today for this session, and they can tell us about, from their world and from their world experience, because they have been in the sector for, since millennial. They can definitely share with us tips and knowledge and even access to tools that can really help us to embrace digital technologies in our own business. So before I begin, I'd just like to do maybe a quick intro of who E4Impact is, because I know most of you have just joined us for the first time. So I'll just make it very brief. Oh, sorry for that. So E4Impact, we definitely say it's where Kenyan innovators meet the best of Italian businesses. E4Impact Foundation is an initiative that was launched in 2010 by our founder and CEO, Professor Mario Molteni. And the idea was to actually develop a foundation that will support the growth and scale up of businesses within Africa. We have a portfolio of entrepreneurship programs, and the first one is a unique and blended MBA program in impact entrepreneurship, which we actually deliver with local universities in Africa. So for example, in Kenya, we are working with Tangaza University College to deliver an MBA in impact entrepreneurship. And then also I saw some people from Ghana had also registered. We also have a relationship also with a local university there that we deliver our MBA. Our MBA is unique and different because it's a very practical program where you actually join either with a business idea or existing business, and we actually work with you for 18 months to ensure that you come out with a fully fledged business. The second portfolio is that we have short courses and certificates in impact entrepreneurship. As you can see, our name is E4Impact. So anything that we do really revolves around impact. And so with the certificates, it's also just to support upcoming entrepreneurs who may not have the privilege of going through an entire MBA program. They can actually qualify for those short certificates to be able to actually start and grow their business. The third component is on the E4Impact Entrepreneurship Center, which is now the E4Impact Accelerator. And the idea is really to support the scale up of post-revenue businesses and to actually support them with the market strategy, with access to funding, and also to help them with international market access as well. Because our office is based in Italy, therefore we're actually able to support with the market linkages as well. So far, our presence is in 18 African countries, and that is spread across the different regions within Africa. So Eastern Africa, Western, Southern, Central, and also the North. So we really try and provide these services to across different markets as possible. Just a bit about the E4Impact Accelerator, which is based in Karen in Nairobi. We have 4 main goals really to support Kenyan businesses to increase their profitability and impact, to help them increase their revenues, to support them with fundraising, and also linking them to Italian and European businesses. So some of the services that we do offer within the program, so I feel like I'm rushing, but some of the services that we offer is customized training program. We have professional services, and that is including legal, accounting, marketing, and processes. just to help you put all those things together and package your business for growth. And then also we have market linkages. As I mentioned earlier, we are based in Italy and also in 17 other African countries. So we actually support with access to markets. And then also we have regional presence and brand visibility. So because of our partners, our partnership model, also not only with universities, but also with other ecosystem stakeholders, we're actually able to support you scale your presence. And then also access to investment linkages, and also a pool of funds, which is in form of grants that we normally give to our entrepreneurs. One of our key milestones was that in 2018, we were awarded as the best organization to support impact entrepreneurs in Kenya at the National Green Growth Conference, which was hosted by amidst. In terms of E4Impact in Kenya, we actually currently working in 8 counties, just delivering the same portfolio of services. And so far, we've trained over 2,000 entrepreneurs. Our entrepreneurs have provided over 10,000 jobs to the community. And then luckily, we also have 32% of women entrepreneurs. So we're very happy to see also women have joined the call. You're part of our statistics. And we have also supported our entrepreneurs raise 2.03 million euros from external investment to support with their working capital, to support the expansion, and also sometimes also infrastructure of the enterprise. The key partners, as I mentioned, we do not do this alone, and that's why Oracle also is here today with us. We have donors, impact investors, and also development partners, as well as that we work with to deliver this value proposition to our entrepreneurs. So those are our contact details, but I'll definitely send you this presentation today at the end of the webinar. But the idea is just to give you an understanding of who E4Impact is and why we believe in partnerships. And that is why we really value our relationship with Oracle for Startups to bring this opportunity to you, not only for E4Impact alumni or network, but also to the larger entrepreneurial body and also the corporates who have joined us today in the session. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Ellie from Oracle for Startups Program. She's a strategic initiatives leader, and she can tell us more about Oracle and even how, even as we can tap into these opportunities. So over to you, Ellie.
Thank you everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. We've been planning for this session for so long, and then unfortunately, I actually lost my uncle. So I'm at a funeral, but I mean, it's life. We can fit in a little bit of something from somewhere. So luckily, we have technology. And so I'm sitting inside the car so that I can be able to present. So a pleasure to meet you all. Like she said, my name is Ellie Mathenge. I work for Oracle. I head the Strategic Business Development Unit covering Sub-Saharan Africa. And one of the programs that we really push is our Oracle for Startups program. So Desmond is my colleague, and he'll be moving the slides for me. Next slide, please, Desmond. So when startups meet enterprise, our customers win. What I will talk about is our Oracle for Startups program, which is a new program that has been in the market for the last 3 years. It started off in the Americas, and then it came to Europe, and now it's in Africa. So Oracle's mission, and I'll talk a little bit about Oracle for some of you who might not know us. Our mission is to help people see data in new ways, discover insights, unlock endless possibilities with the ultimate goal of delighting our customers and employees with Oracle Cloud. We are a cloud company. And when I say cloud, think about Google. Google is a cloud company. Think about Amazon Web Services. It's a cloud company. We're in the same space. Next slide, please. So who is Oracle? Oracle is an American multinational. We are headquartered out of Austin, Texas. We are purely a sales technology company. Think about sales first and then technology. We're in the industry because we do database software and technology, cloud engineered systems, enterprise software products, and we're particularly known for our database management systems. Next. So I like this slide because it shows where we started, and it just shows how as human beings we evolve, but we don't evolve that much. So this slide, this photo was taken in 1977, so you can calculate and figure out how old Oracle is. We're about 44 years old, and right there on the right is our co-founder, the tallest guy on that group, Larry Ellison, and his partners Ed. They were celebrating our first customer, and our first customer, fortunately, was the US government. And like we do, they actually had, can you guys hear me? Yes? Okay. They actually cut a cake to celebrate that huge milestone, and that was the beginning. However, Oracle has always been in startup mode. I think when you're always in startup mode, you're continuously being innovative. So that's crucial for us. Next slide, please. So this slide just shows the breadth of who Oracle is. We're a $40 billion company. That's of our revenues of our fiscal year of 2020. We have 430,000 customers in 175 countries. And being in Kenya, we have customers here. So you think of the big boys in the industry, those are our customers. We have 20,000 plus partners, more than 135,000 employees. Just our Kenya office, which serves the East Africa hub, or the Kenya office is the East Africa hub, has 160 employees. We have spent over 70 billion in research and development. And that's why I tell you that we are continuously a startup, hence why we put a lot of money. And this information is our revenue as reported of May 31st, 2020. Next slide, please. All right, so I have said our startup program is new. And when I say new is because it's just, we are the latecomers in the market. Some of you know Oracle, some of you don't. So we were the last people to actually join cloud. And even when you go on YouTube, you will hear our CEO, Larry, that guy say, oh, you know, cloud is something that will come and pass, and it didn't pass. We actually had to jump on real quick and be innovative. And one of the things that we were really innovative about is, in order to catch up with the rest, is we created what is called the autonomous database. So in Africa, our program has enrolled 50 plus startups. EMEA means Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We have 600 plus startups, and globally, so the program being 3 years old, we have about 1,600 startups. Next slide, please. So I like telling this story to show startups what can be your world, what shooting for the sky and thinking the clouds are your are just a lower limit can do for you. This guy, may he rest in peace, his name is Reggie Bradford, and if you look him up on YouTube, you'll find him on our Oracle channel. So Reggie is one of the people who started 3 startups that he ended up selling to the tune of $5 billion. Let me repeat that. $5 billion. So our first encounter with Reggie was when it's an app in social marketing from him. And when we bought it in 2012, we spent 300 million. That's some life-changing money. $300 million. Please note I'm talking in dollars. And then he left and went ahead and created a startup called N2 Broadband. So like the way we have DSTV and you have Box Office, you know Box Office where you go and watch on-demand movies. He set up N2 Broadband, and that software that helps with those on-demand. And that was bought again. And then WebMD, especially now during COVID, all of us have gone to WebMD. When you cough, you're over there diagnosing yourself. He was one of the founders of WebMD. Those 3 companies sold, he sold them to a tune of $5 billion. A lot of money he made. So I like sharing this story because it shows, my apologies, I'm sitting in the car and people are opening the doors. It just shows you can start with an idea, it grows and becomes such a huge idea that an Oracle or a Google or you name it will be interested in buying it at its value. Next slide, please. And so as I talk about that, I want to talk, next slide. I want to talk about our latest acquisition. This company is, his name is Source Video. Source Video, we actually acquired it in April of 2020. I don't know how much it was acquired for. That information has not been publicly shared by our finance team, but it's actually information that you can find there. So we take no equity in any startup that joins in our program. But Source Video was very skeptical of Oracle. Like I said, we are latecomers in this game. We were latecomers to cloud. We were latecomers in creating a startup program. So they joined and we ended up buying them. So they they have a solution that helps people create videos that you can target specific markets. And so that's the benefit of our program, is we walk the journey with you and help you grow to the places where an Oracle might buy you, or a Google might be interested in buying you, or another company. Next slide, please. So 2020 came and the pandemic came. But one of the things that came around is also the fact that our life as we know it changed. We went from walking into offices to sitting at homes and finding office space and working from home. In 2020, Zoom, as you know it, only had a subscription base of 10 million. They went from 10 million to 300 million daily videos of streaming. And so all of a sudden they had issues. You guys had the issues that Zoom had. You know, there were things children were seeing that they should never see. People hacking into people's Zoom meetings, just crazy things. And so all of a sudden Zoom is like, you know what? We need to actually ensure that we have a platform that will take care of our clients. So Zoom makes a very strategic decision, an important decision that has actually made their business flourish. They asked Oracle, tell us, can your platform be scalable? Because at the rate that we are going, we need to be able to scale. We need to be able to have Zoom meetings, whether you're sitting in Matasia like Ellie right now, or you're sitting in Karen. We should be able to have a seamless Zoom meeting where somebody can actually stream video. Can it be reliable? Can it have superior cloud security? And all those Oracle provides. So even Oracle, who is a huge Zoom user, you can imagine we're 175,000 employees. And when the lockdown happened, everyone, depending on where you're sitting, in whichever country, all of us got a Zoom account. We actually had Zoom before that. And now we were all turning on our videos. We didn't even notice when Zoom migrated from our competition to our platform. And that's because we can actually be very proud to say our platform ensures scalability, reliability, and is superior. Next slide, please. So it's a virtuous cycle of innovation. And that's why I say we as Oracle, born in 1977, can never stop innovating, even when we are latecomers in the game. Even when you go to YouTube and you find our chairman and CTO, Larry, saying, you know what, that cloud thing is going to pass. We jump on the wagon real quick and say, you know what, hey, we were wrong. But that doesn't mean we're not going to innovate. We innovate quickly, catch on with the programs, transition, and move on. So the Oracle for Startups program was actually meant to help startups become like an Oracle, a company that is not stuck, and a company that is continuously innovating, and a company that is ready to get to the next level. So the result is creating startups, be innovative on a secure and reliable platform. Next slide, please. So when you join our program, everybody wins. And like I said, there are many technology startup programs out there. We were latecomers in the game. And sometimes when you are latecomer in the game, what that just gives you, it gives you a lens view. You're able to analyze other people's programs. You're able to hear feedback from other people. What's working, what's not working, what would you like? And that's what we did. So when Reggie came and helped us set our program up, one of the things we were very sure we wanted to do was just not give freebies. We wanted to give you some free things, but also help you walk that journey. So you get free cloud credits when you join. You get 70% discount for 2 years. over and above global exposure and access to our 430,000 customers. And those customers are vetted. So for example, I have a startup here in Kenya who is interested in meeting one of the big banks, right? And you know, it's not even a shame. You can go to our portal and find out who our customers are if they have agreed for us to share that information. And so we have created that gate because, you know, you're a small startup and sometimes reaching some of these organizations can be hard. We facilitate. And so we are keen on staying competitive and just ensuring that we bring our startups along so that they also get the technology advantage. Next slide, please. So we offer groundbreaking technology anchored on our scalable, secure, scalable Oracle Cloud. So some of you could be tech people, some of you could be non-techie. So we'll explain to you in detail what we mean when we say Oracle Cloud. Startups showcased, we help our startups showcase their solutions on our global events. So prior to the pandemic, we had something called Oracle Open World. So Oracle Open World would be held anywhere you think an Oracle office is. So we had some in Europe, we do them in London. If it was in the US, we do Las Vegas or we do California. If it's in Africa, sometimes we'd put it in Dubai. But those were big platforms that would bring all our big clients, giving our startup an opportunity to meet some of these clients who could be interested in using their solutions. Just because you're a startup doesn't mean a big company might not be interested in your solution. You find a lot of these big companies are interested in investing in solutions from startups because they see the opportunity of growing together. And that's what we do, is we create platforms where we connect and do business building introductions to customers, product teams, and partners for our startups. Next slide, please. So this is critical. You see, I've highlighted this in yellow. And when I say this, we take no equity. You see, I talked about Source Video. We actually bought Source Video. Just because your solution comes and sits on our platform doesn't mean we're interested in taking equity. We are a $40 billion company. So if we're interested in your solution, we shall buy it. Also, integrity is very crucial for Oracle. So we make sure we protect your IP because you are coming to put your solution the same way we protect our customers' IP when they put their information on our cloud platform. We are open to technology startups and innovators worldwide, whether you're business to business, whether you're business to consumer. There is no application. So even as we talk, you can go and check out our Oracle for Startups page and sign up. You get free cloud credits. You'll get migration support. And that's a differentiator between our program and others. Our competition will give so many credits, but they're not here to walk the journey with you. I remember when we signed up our startup here in Kenya, and one of the things she said, I just want someone who can help me figure out some of these technology things and not someone who will respond to my email at 2 a.m. and I will read it the next day at 9 a.m. and they're no longer available. Our startup portal offers on-demand access to all the program benefits, and over and above, you having someone you can actually talk to. And then qualifying startups can level up to taking advantage of our Market Connect. And our Market Connect is huge. If you're in business long enough, your product out there. So we're very keen on.
Sorry, Ellie, I think we missed you on the Market Connect.
Okay, let me repeat. So once you've joined our program and you've used a certain amount of cloud credits, right? You've been sitting on our program, you've been using the Oracle Cloud, you will qualify for Market Connect. And so our Market Connect is the opportunities to connect with customers you've never been able to using our social media platforms. So we're one of the big tech 3 companies worldwide. So our social media pages get views that would astonish anyone. You get opportunities to actually create blog posts and podcasts that can be shared that have enrolled. Next. So we offer startup-friendly cloud built for enterprise. And this is a point that I want to emphasize. So Oracle has been known to deal with enterprise. And when I say enterprise, think of the companies that are enterprise in Kenya. You name it, Safaricom, Kenya Commercial Bank, Equity Bank. Your big organizations, those enterprise organizations are the businesses we used to deal with. But we had to learn to create a space, and that was partly because we are also latecomers in the game. We created a platform that can allow a startup or an enterprise actually thrive. So that's why we're saying it's a startup-friendly cloud built for enterprise. You are joining our platform because you are ready to grow. You're joining our platform because you are ready to move from Kenya. You're going to Uganda, Tanzania, and expand into Africa. Superior performance with easier migrations. And why do we say that? Because we have actually tested our solutions. The top 20 banks in the world sit on Oracle. The top 20 hotels sit on Oracle. The top 20 or the biggest airlines use Oracle solutions. So we know. Zero vendor lock-in. Remember I said no equity? We take no equity. So we're not trying to ask you to give us 50% of your company. We're not interested. We won't lock you in. So if you jump into our Oracle platform today and tomorrow you're feeling, you know what, I was better off at AWS or DigitalOcean, whatever, and you want to leave, the same way you came in with ease is the same way you can leave. Integration with enterprise application. So that's key for us, right? Because of being in enterprise for so long, we realize that people will have various applications. And so we make it so much easier that the applications can integrate. And when I'm talking about integrating is, you know, you ask guys, all of us use M-Pesa, and we see how easy M-Pesa has integrated with the financial world. That's what we mean. Allowing your solutions to integrate with other applications. We actually have APIs built around that. Simple pricing structure and licensing. There's no looking at an itemized bill and wondering, why are they charging me this? Why are they charging me this? It's very simple. It's very clear. And this one we can boast. Industry's first network performance SLA. What does that mean? Is that our service level agreements means if we say we have redundancy for accessing your data, we do. If we say you will access your data within 30 minutes of something going down, we actually can boast about it. Next slide, please. So I like this slide because it also just shows how vast our startups are and how startups just end up slowly growing on our platform. So Biashara Africa is actually our first startup that joined in East Africa. She, and I like saying she because it's a female-led startup, was sitting on our competition. They were on Google Analytics and they actually moved to Oracle Analytics. So they are using our application for analytics. And Hawaii was because, number one, there was local support. Number two, it just made sense to her. She could easily understand and look at what she was gathering in terms of data and analyze better for her business. So she set up an e-commerce platform of some sort where she helps small merchants. When I say small merchants, maybe you're on River Road or you're on Biashara Street and you don't necessarily have an online presence. She creates that presence for you and helps you aggregate data so that you can see which of your goods are being looked at the most, which one is moving fast, and also connects people with logistics. And then we have Tech Shelter. So Tech Shelter is based out of Ghana. They were actually our first startup all of Africa. And they provide the linkage of from farm to table. So they collect all that necessary data. And I think someone talked about I don't know if it was agro farming, but they do something of the sort. So what these people do is basically they're aggregators and help the farmers get their goods to the right places really fast. And then there's Evreka. Evreka actually sits out of Turkey, and they are a waste collection company. I like the Evreka story because it also shows the capabilities on what you can actually get when you join an Oracle for Startups program. So Evreka does waste collection, and I'll give an example. So for example, waste collection in Nairobi. If the city of Nairobi City Council was doing waste collection, if they used the Evreka gadget, which has artificial intelligence built into it, they become more efficient. So for example, let's say I live in Westlands and garbage on Westlands Road is supposed to be picked up every Tuesday. The Nairobi City Council would get a message saying, you don't need to come to Westlands Road because there's only one garbage bin that is full, so they can postpone picking up garbage on that road on Tuesday and come on Thursday, which makes sense. So it's just basically making operations for waste collections efficient. But what is most interesting about Evreka is I said we are in 175 countries. So a client of ours sitting out of Paris asked, do you guys have any solution under waste collection? We don't. We're not in that space. We don't. So we said we don't. However, one of our startups actually does waste collection. So our team in Paris notified our team in Turkey, who notified our startups, and our startup Evreka responded to an RFI, request for information, to a company in Paris. How about that? Just really going beyond the borders. And then there's Awini. So Awini, and I think we have a similar sort of system here. Awini is an Uber for lorries or trucks. Now we have Builders Warehouse, and you know how, if you've been in Kenya long enough, you know how anybody who carries for you transport can jack up the prices. I live in Loakabete and I want to buy mabati from Builders Warehouse in Karen. I show up over there, I get excited, I jazz my car with mabati, I buy a sink, I buy a toilet, and then I buy shower curtains, and then I buy tiles. Whoops, all of a sudden my Pro Box cannot fit all these things. So I should be able to call an Uber to carry for me those things versus using the transport guy who will charge me 6,000 because he thinks I live on the other side of the world. So Awini has built their Uber-like app on our platform. Next slide, please. I see there are questions. I will be able to answer those when I'm done with the presentation. So I said free cloud is just the beginning. And I always take snippets of some of the startups on our platform to just share what has happened. So this is the CEO of Bot Supply. Her name is Asa Schmidt, and she said they have saved around 40% of their costs and were able to reinvest that back into their business and are scaling across EMEA. Remember, we are in EMEA, and that's the beauty of our program is if you're trying to get into a country that you're struggling with, ask us. We are going to open doors. I have a startup actually that joined, and it's a fintech startup. Just recently, they joined in 2020. And one of the clients they were trying to reach to were in, this is a country close to South Africa. They were trying to reach a country close to South Africa, and it was a telco. But they just didn't know how to open doors. So we facilitated that conversation where we connected them with the right people so that they could actually have a conversation and pitch their solution. So we talked about free cloud credits. When you sign up, you get free $500 worth of cloud credits. After that, the cloud credits a 70% discount for up to 2 years. And this is true. You can actually leave this call and call AWS or call Google. We have the lowest cost of ownership with the most robust and valued price cloud in the industry. Why? Remember, I said we were latecomers. We were doing cloud 3 years after everyone else had started doing cloud. Next slide, please. So you get 500 free cloud credits when you sign up. After you've consumed your free 500 cloud credits, you get another 1,000 cloud credits. So you get a total of 1,500 cloud credits. And then from there on, it's 70% discount for 2 years. So there are other programs that give more cloud credits, but we give you discount because we are, of course, already the lowest in the market. But most importantly, those other items that you get from the Oracle program that we haven't put a price on, the mentorship, the market connect, the migration assistant, all that stuff comes along with the program. Next slide, please. Remember, I talked about our podcasts. So this is an opportunity where you can sit down, have someone interview you, and you talk about your solution. And this is available, then becomes available on the Oracle podcast page, where you can share links to your customers and spread the word, and they can access it, giving your startup brand accessibility and just growing your brand. Next slide, please. So I talked about Market Connect. You get the credits program, you get mentorship, and a virtual library. One of my other startups actually had a meeting with them, and they said they've been reading a lot of the materials for our startups. And that often happens when you meet some of these very techie people. They want to figure things out themselves, and they found the virtual libraries so beneficial to what they're doing and growing their solution. Next, please. So we do not discriminate. If you're in ideation phase, like today is the day you think your startup is starting, you can come and start building on our platform. Any size, you're in the business to business space, you're in the business to consumer space, but you're a technology startup, come to us. You are looking to address a large market, just like Oracle is in many, many, many markets. We are the startup program to be in. We offer, and I repeat, the secure, robust, value price cloud and access to customers you have never imagined. Those will be available for you. So it's easy. Right now, as I speak, if you don't think my story is true, you can check it out, oracle.com for startup. Check out all the offerings that I've talked about, and you start right away. The minute you sign up, you get an invitation and an acknowledgement of you signing up. And all of a sudden you'll start receiving emails, and someone will be contacting you on how we can assist you. Next, please. All right, so there's the steps to joining oracle.com. Then there's a self-service sign-up page that's quite straightforward. You'll get a welcome email, and then the startup portal that has all the program benefits that I've talked about. Next, please. And that's it. So basically, we are a startup program that looks to grow with startups that are looking to scale. So I'll now let you guys ask me questions, or I can look in the chat and answer the questions. If there's anything that's more technical that might need to be answered, my colleague was also going to present. So Mercy.
Yes, thank you so much, Ellie. I feel like giving you a thumbs up for really, you've really shown commitment, you know, even if you're dealing with your own little pandemic. Yeah, you've really made time just to ensure that, you know, the SMEs actually get this opportunity. And thank you so much for that. And I think, so we have a question here from Michael, which I think you already captured, but you can just maybe expound. How much traction do you need from a startup in order to be considered for your cloud solution?
Okay, so when you mean traction, what exactly does he mean? I mean, like I said, if you're in ideation phase, like I actually have a startup guy who was sitting out of South Africa, and he has a solution that he wants to pitch to the government of South Africa. And so he's been building on our platform. He's like, he's a one-man show. He's not very sure how the solution will go. We truly don't discriminate. And that's why I said, if you're in ideation phase, so he has ideas of what he wants his solution to do. And so we guided him on, and he's a techie. So he has certain things he wanted to use that are available on our platform, and he's been using it. So his solution is still growing, but he knows he's going to pitch it to the government because he's also worked in government and realizes. So We don't discriminate if you're starting, if you're somewhere in between, or if you're even in the middle of transitioning where you're thinking, you know what, my actually what I'm trying to offer would better off be in some sort of digital format or electronic or application, then you can definitely get on the Oracle platform.
Great. So I think for Michael, it cuts across everyone. So from ideation to guys who are doing prototypes, to guys who already have a market in a product and want to scale, from guys who are already established, you can actually join the Oracle for Startups program. And I think also it ties in also because we have a couple of guys who are working in corporates or also they are part of an organization. I think also the same applies to them, right?
Right. And that's why I said any size, right? Any size of startup is welcome to join.
And it's free. So guys, do not let this opportunity pass you by. Yeah, wonderful. Let me see if there are any questions on the chat. Yes, from Harriet, they're asking, do you do database management, self-services, or you manage it for clients?
That's a good question, and I'll let what's his name, Desmond, my colleague, answer all those questions in terms of technical questions, so that you get a full picture of the solutions we offer and what we do.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, because we're actually going into the second part of the webinar, where we're going to have Desmond Muriu. He's the cloud engineer at Oracle. And really, he has diverse experience with developing software, designing data processing and analytical applications, and customizing new functionality. So he has really good experience in translating client requirements to successfully align the development results with the client expectations. So I think we have a real techie who will now walk us through the second part of the session, really on what are now some of these technologies that you can actually embed in your own business. So Desmond, I think I can hand it over to you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so yes, Mercy, if you allow me, and then I will drop off because I'm roasting in the car and it's so hot in here.
Okay.
But I have covered the soft bit of understanding our program. I will put my email on the chat for anybody who has further questions in regards to our program. Desmond will answer any technology questions, for example, like the database management, what we offer, what's free, and also I saw a question on pricing. We are definitely the cheapest in the price, and I think he has a chart that actually shows that, so he'll also share that information. So feel free to drop me an email if you have any more questions, if you also just want to have a one-on-one based on the solution that you have, and we can set up a call, just a smaller crowd, and address your issues.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellie, and really appreciate your commitment to this. And we'll definitely share your contacts and also the presentation that you just made. And then I'm sure the entrepreneurs can actually reach out.
Yes, so I'll share with you the presentation later on today, because I can only send it when it's PDF, so you'll probably.
That's okay.
Right?
Yes. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, over to you, Desmond, and thank you for being my PPT slide mover.
No worries, Ellie. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, over to you, Desmond.
Okay, thank you, Mercy. Just to reiterate, my name is Desmond Moreo, and I'm a cloud engineer. You might wonder, what is cloud engineering, or what exactly do I do? So in Oracle, as Ellie mentioned, we are also a cloud player, just in the same way like what Google, Amazon, and Microsoft Azure do. And what myself I do is that I talk to clients as yourself, and my idea is that I try to understand what are some of the business challenges that you're facing, and how can we use technology to try and solve some of these issues. So the whole idea is that I try to map out technology to actual solutions to solve business challenges. So the purpose of today's, or rather for my today's presentation, is to focus more on emerging technologies and how you can use some of these emerging technologies to demystify what they mean and what do they, and how can you also be able to apply them in your own organizations. There was actually some few questions. Maybe I can focus more on those before I start. So someone was asking do we have a database management self-service, or do you manage it for clients? Okay, so when it comes to cloud technology, the whole aspect of cloud is that there is a shared responsibility of management. Unlike what we used to do on-premise, whereby you get to install like, for example, a database and you get to manage it from the infrastructure aspect. Now, when it comes to cloud, is that we manage the infrastructure. And by infrastructure, I mean you don't get to buy the actual servers. You just go to an online platform, and with the click of a button, create your own database system, and it will be Oracle who is managing it from the sense of I'm being asked to share my video. Let me just do that. Oh, just a bit. Okay, I hope that's visible. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so from the perspective of database in that end is that we do get to manage the database infrastructure for you. So the only thing that you do is that you get to manage your data. So we as Oracle, we won't touch your own actual data. Your data is yours, will be the person to define the database system. But when it comes to the infrastructure itself, we from Oracle will be managing the infrastructure from that end. So it's a shared responsibility, if I could say, from that end. I hope that answered your question. There's also another one. Do you have anything for non-tech innovators whose ideas could use a bit of tech? So when you sign up for the Oracle for Startups program, you do get availability of experts like myself who can help you with your own migration journey from on-premise to cloud, and we can also try and help you try and set up some of these new technologies. So we have a migration program from that end.
I think, Desmond, we can continue collecting the questions on the chat as you continue with your presentation, as I'm sure more will come up. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So let me just start my presentation for today. Like I mentioned, we'll be focusing more on emerging technologies. Just give me a bit here. So this means that everything that we discuss in this platform is in no way any form of contract between yourselves and Oracle. So I just leave it for a few seconds. And then next. So I will start with this small quote. I like it, and let me just read it through it. So according to Darwin's Origin of Species, it's not the most intellectual of species that survive. It's not the strongest that survive, but the species that survives is the one that is able to best adapt and adjust to changing environment in which it finds itself. And that's the key purpose of today, is that you need to be able to adapt, to be able to adjust to the changing environment in which you find yourself. We've had a lot of technologies throughout the ages. We've had big technology companies like Yahoo and MySpace and Nokia that were superpowers, but right now, because they are not able to quickly adapt to change new technologies, were able to see a gap and were able to move in. And now some of these companies, we no longer hear as much as we used to do about them some few years ago. So digital disruption continues to shake the foundation of traditional businesses. So while they continue to open up new opportunities so that those who can move and adapt are able to better yet secure better new business opportunities. Like you can see from my slideshow over here, when it comes to business challenges, the future of work has changed. Nowadays, from my end, I have not even been to the office in the last 1 year or so. I've been working from home. We've also seen this change in customer experiences, and by customer experiences, I see that nowadays we no longer need to have customer care that sits 24 hours a day on their desk to answer calls. We've seen things like chatbots or what we call digital assistants that are even able to reply and basically do some bit of customer handling. We've also seen a change in digital supply chains. We've seen things like blockchain, and I'll speak more about it and what it means for the future of supply chain. We've also seen changes in the future of finance function. So nowadays we're doing more of mobile transactions. We've also seen new technologies like cryptocurrencies that are emerging. And all of these are based on technology. And this is where we're hearing new technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, conversation agents, Internet of Things, and a bunch of new markets from Netflix, Airbnb, Spotify, Uber, and all this kind of new technologies, new businesses that never used to exist some few years back. So when it comes to innovations in the cloud, we have some key technologies. We have artificial intelligence. We have digital assistants. So digital assistants is what we call the chatbot, but I will tell you what that means in the next few slides. And then we have blockchain. So what exactly is artificial intelligence? So artificial intelligence is the ability to make machine reason like a human being. So there is what we call some Turing tests that we use to try to see how can we classify that a machine is intelligent. And one of the key ways that we try to classify that a machine is intelligent is if a machine can fool another human being, that it itself is an actual human being, then to some extent we can be able to say that that machine is an intelligent machine. There's a lot of debate on what exactly that means, but it's one of the ways that we can try and classify a machine as intelligence. But the whole idea of artificial intelligence, that we're trying to introduce some bit of intelligence to machines so that they can be able to solve some of the tasks that human beings actually do by themselves. And within machine artificial intelligence, it's the bigger sphere of it. But there's a subset of artificial intelligence which we call machine learning, which it's also a new term. And the whole idea of machine learning is that it's basically how do we build these intelligent machines. One way of building intelligent machines is having a developer like myself write a bunch of rules that say that if I tell this machine to do this, then this is what it will do. If this machine sees this, then this is how it will respond. But now machine learning is a new era of designing artificial systems whereby we are trying to feed a machine data and let the machine learn from this data. The same way you go and read a book and interpret that machine and interpret that information with your brain. In your brain, it's the same way we are trying to do with machine learning. So we're giving it a lot of data that we're collecting from social media, from our core systems, and we're trying to tell this machine, are you able to see any patterns? For example, we're trying to maybe do a credit risk. And one way of doing credit risk, how banks do it is that they have all your data. They know how well you're able, they know what's your income, they know where you stay, they know what's your age bracket. And what they do is that they feed this information to a system, and this system analyzes all of this data, and it's able to create a cluster of people, whereby saying that people with a certain characteristics, they are better or they are more credit worthy than people with these other certain characteristics. So that's one way of how machine learning is being implemented out there. Next, we have digital assistant, and digital assistant is basically used to improve customer experience. We've all had a situation whereby maybe we need to call maybe customer care. And nowadays it's a little bit better, but I remember there was a time when you maybe, for example, want to call a certain, maybe an electricity provider or maybe an internet provider. First, they get you to this long call. You have this background background tune that you continue to hear for almost 30 minutes. And you wait, and all of this is bad customer experience. You really get frustrated. And once you get connected to an agent, that's when your credits now is almost wound up. And I want to get to realize that for the last 30 minutes, you've just been wasting your time and wasting your credit, and there's no any form of help that you've realized. But when it comes to this new digital assistants, and I will show you a small demo of the same, is that now we are able to have live bots that you can converse with them with natural language, which can either be via text from social media or maybe via call. And these bots, they're actually able to pick your information and even help you. You can even do transactions like mobile transactions by just speaking with a bot from social media or maybe from a mobile application. So that's one of those benefits that you get from digital assistants or chatbots from that end. We also have blockchain, and you can see from my icon here that we are saying that blockchain, it remembers. And what do we mean by it remembers? Now, blockchain is just a means of basically storing data in a decentralized nature. And what does that mean? So what most organizations currently do, they have a central database. Also, someone asked me also about a database management system. And now what this database, that you have it, you're the one who has total control over it. But a blockchain system is a decentralized system, which means that this blockchain, no one party has complete control over it. And what this means is that you can be able to make sure that the data within a blockchain network is correct. It hasn't been interfered by anyone, and nobody can be able to crack it. We've had situation about people's cracking systems, but in a blockchain network, how it's designed, it's very difficult to be able to tamper with it, and it can survive by itself without the need of any third party or intermediaries. Please feel free to ask any questions, to interrupt me at any point, or maybe just write a chat and I'll be able to read it later on. So when it comes to applying AI to enterprises, so artificial intelligence has the potential to change everything when it means that you have to deal with data. Actually, according to a recent study that was conducted by DCS, we're just saying that in the next 2 or 3 years, enterprise data collection is projected to increase at an annual rate of 42.2%. So what does this mean? There'll be a lot of data out there for that's being generated by our systems. And now the idea is that, can we be able to utilize this data? Like I mentioned, with machine learning, the more data you provide a system, the smarter it is. It's able to analyze the patterns and becomes better at that. So with traditional process, with the traditional enterprise used to have fixed processes, we used to have intensive human interaction, and there was a lot of manual monitoring. But when it comes to AI, you can be able to have an adaptive process that's able to continuously adapt by itself. You have an augmented experience whereby multiple systems are interconnected, and you have a complete view or rather a complete experience of your entire ecosystem. And also you have autonomous operations. Actually, we from Oracle currently, we have what we call an autonomous database. And what the autonomous database does is that we've automated a lot of the manual database administration tasks. So I won't speak a lot about it because I believe not all of us here are techies, but ideally is that in all database administration, there used to be a lot of manual tasks, but now we've created intelligent systems that are able to actually basically maintain themselves, tune themselves, upgrade themselves, and all of these kind of things. So when it comes to Oracle, so what do we offer for AI? We have ready to go pre-built applications. We also give you an AI platform that you can also use if you have data science teams within your organization. We can also be able to give you an AI platform for you to create your own artificial intelligence systems. And we also have already built autonomous systems, like what I was speaking about, the autonomous database, which is self-securing, self-repairing, and self-driving. So next, we'll speak about the digital assistant. So, and like I mentioned, the whole idea of the digital assistant is to improve user engagement using a conversation AI. So what's the benefit of having conversation experience? I know the first time all of you, not even the first time, even up to now, every time you meet a new technology, or maybe let's not even use the example of us. If right now I was to introduce or give a machine, like a laptop, to someone who has never seen it before, maybe someone, they will have some bit of a learning curve. They'll need to understand what is a keyboard, what is a mouse, how do I interact with this machine? But now the idea of conversational experiences, introducing them in form of chatbots or virtual reality or augmented realities, that instead of us learning how to interact with machines, can machines learn how to interact with us? So instead of me having to learn how to press a keyboard, how to click this and this button, can I teach a machine that now it will be talking to me? When I text it, it will be able to respond back to me. And this is the whole idea that we're trying to introduce to machines, so that instead of us always having to learn how to interact with machines, now machines are able to interact with us. You've maybe seen Alexa or Google or Google Assistants, whereby you're able to talk to them and they're able to comprehend and respond back to you. So this is the whole idea that we're trying to do with conversational experience. So they're natural to us because this is how we communicate with other human beings. And then again, you don't need to install anything. For example, for an Alexa, you don't need to install anything. You just speak to it and you're able to get information from it. It's available 24 hours a day. So in the scenario that was giving about the customer experience, whereby you're getting to call them and maybe there's a lot of call traffic and they're not able to get to everyone at the exact time. So with digital assistants, they're available anytime. And of course, you get more channels. And what does this mean? Bots can run in Facebook, they can run in WhatsApp, they can run in Alexa, they can run on Telegram, on Twitter, on Instagram, and all these other forms of channels. And of course, you get one interface, which is the natural interface that we're all used to. So I mentioned that there's a difference between a chatbot and a digital assistant. So what is a chatbot? And I believe most of us here, this is what we've interacted with. There's a scenario whereby you are going to a Facebook page and maybe you need to inquire about a certain gadget that maybe you want to buy. And when you maybe text that Facebook page, there's an automatic reply. So that's an example of a chatbot. But a digital assistant goes a step further than that. It's able to do complex tasks. You're even able to do like financial transactions with it. And I will show you a video of an example of a digital assistant and how it works. It's more embedded with artificial intelligence to understand what you want to do and also respond with the same based on what basically you want it to do. So this is an example of a bot. Just share my voice. Let me know if you can hear the voice.
What does my day look like tomorrow?
Yes, we can hear it.
Have a
Okay.
meeting with Fancy Cosmetics tomorrow from 9:30 to 11 a.m.
Send me the details of the last 2 meetings. Do we have any referenceable customers using autonomous database in retail?
Sure, here's the list of retail customers using autonomous database.
Who did we compete with for elemental design, and what was the deal size?
The competitor for elemental design was Amazon, and the deal was worth.
So as you can see, it goes beyond just a normal bot that is only able to give you a one form of response. It can be able to even look into your calendar and even book calendar events. For the example of maybe banking, you can be able to even tell it what is my account balance. Can I transact? Please send this amount of money from point A to point B. So think of conversation experiences. You see the way you have a mobile application. So we move from web application, whereby you used to go to a website, to Android, to mobile application, which can be either be iOS or Android, whereby you have a mobile application on your phone. And now the same experience that you're having on a mobile application, you can now use it with a chatbot. So a chatbot is just a new form of interface. Same way we had web, we had mobile, now we also have conversation experiences. So they can still be able to do everything that you used to do with your mobile application. And that's why we're seeing most of them, they're just complementing what you're seeing in mobile applications. And the beauty about digital assistants, they can do more than one task. So regardless of whether it's for inventory, for purchase orders, procurement, sales, or maybe submitting expenses, the chatbot is able and can be able to be plugged to all of these systems. And you just have one conversational channel whereby you're interacting with all of these other applications. And like I mentioned, you can be able to plug it to WhatsApp, to SMS, to Slack, if you ever use Slack from that end. So next, which will be the last point of today, will be about the blockchain. So like I mentioned, a blockchain is just a decentralized ledger. You know how a ledger works. It has it has all the transactions that you've done. But now in this case, this ledger, it's not only you who has a copy of it. Everyone in your network has a copy of the same. And what this means is that if one of you goes and maybe tries to edit something, there's still other multiple copies that exist. So there will be still a verifiable proof that the ledger cannot be, it's immutable from that end. A good example, if you want to understand why blockchain, or maybe for example of the Bitcoin, just to give you an example, think of it today, you want to send some bit of, you want to send money from someone maybe in Turkana, and you want to create a system that does this form of transaction. For me to be able to believe that for me to be able to send someone money nowadays, I need a third party. And maybe this third party will be my bank, or will be M-Pesa or Safaricom from this end. But now, is there a way that you can be able to eliminate M-Pesa or maybe my bank, and I be able to directly send my money from point A, which is where I am in Nairobi, to someone in Turkana? And this is where the challenge comes in, because I need someone to verify that one, for the person in Turkana needs to verify that one, I have their amount in my account. And second, there needs to be someone who will verify that once they send the money to Turkana, that the person in Turkana actually received it. And they're not saying that they did not receive it and they actually received it. And this is where the whole aspect of creating a decentralized network, whereby we have eliminated intermediaries. So like in the case of Bitcoin, nobody manages Bitcoin. There's no that party like Safaricom or a bank from that end that basically manages the infrastructure. This is a decentralized system whereby everybody has the transactions of everybody. And that's how it works. So there isn't any one person, and there is a complete chaotic environment where nobody trusts anybody, but they all need to transact. And so the beauty about a blockchain network is, like in this case of a Bitcoin, is that one, there's no that party fees. Remember right now, for me to send money to Turkana, I will need to use the M-Pesa, and they will deduct some bit of capital for the transaction fees. But in a blockchain network, how it's created is that it solved the issue of not needing a third party. Because like I mentioned, if there's no third party, one, I need to be able to verify that one, that source B exists. Two, source B needs to verify that I have the amount in my account. And C, I need to verify that once I send the amount to party B, they shouldn't tell me that they didn't receive the money and they actually received it. So this is our blockchain. The way it's designed, the way it's built is that we all have the transactional copy of all the transactions that are happening, and nobody can be able to basically perform any form of fraud from that end. So it basically reduces costs. Like I mentioned, there's no third party fees. It improves efficiency because everybody has the exact same copy of the data. There isn't one centralized database like in normal situation. It's a decentralized database with everybody having their own copy, which means also fraud is being limited, it has been mitigated, and it's transparent. You all have the same copy of the data and the security from that end. So it has some bit of encryption mechanisms that make it to be very secure. So from Oracle, we also give Oracle profitability to application. These ones can also be used in the supply chain environment. They can also be used in financial transactions, like for example, the Bitcoin and all those kind of things. So the benefits that you get with the Oracle blockchain platform that you are able to drive innovation, you don't need to install anything. It's a cloud solution, like the same way I was speaking about the database service. You can be able to accelerate quickly. You can scale it with the beauty about any cloud solution. And maybe I forgot even to mention what is cloud for the first in the first case. It's been, not many people understand what the cloud is, but just to give you an example, think of it like your Gmail. Right now you use Gmail, but there's nothing that you install with your machine. All your emails, they're being backed up by Google. So this is the whole idea of cloud. The idea of cloud is you don't get to manage the infrastructure. Another example is how nowadays you store your images or maybe your chats from WhatsApp. You store them on a browser somewhere, and you can be able to access them anywhere. So you don't need to worry about your own machine crashing. You still have access to your emails. You still have access to any form of images or files that you saved, maybe for example in Google Drive. And this is the whole idea of just you using someone else's computer. And this computer, in this case, can be Oracle or Google. So we have our data centers across the world. And what people do is that they rent out space in these data centers of ours. So you do not need to worry about the infrastructure. And the infrastructure can be maybe, for example, your laptop. If your laptop today was to vanish or maybe was to spoil, you lose everything that is inside your laptop, right? But in the case of cloud, since it's the vendor's responsibilities, you just store your data with Gmail, and you don't need to worry about, the only thing you need to worry about is the space. Once your space is filled out, maybe you purchase more space. You don't need to worry about the laptop, or you don't need to worry about anything else from that end. Another beauty about cloud is that you get to scale at any moment. Today, if your phone was full of storage, the only thing that you can do either is to delete, or maybe you go buy another phone, then transfer all of this information from this previous phone to this other phone. But with cloud, just by the click of a button, you can be able to scale in and out of your storage requirements as you want. So this is also another benefit of cloud. So cloud, in layman's terms, is that you just get to use someone else's infrastructure. So the cloud providers provide the infrastructure, they maintain it. You don't need to worry about any form of damage of the infrastructure. All of this is the responsibility of the cloud provider. So that's just one example of cloud. But you also offer other cloud systems like ERP solutions, or a platform for you to be able to create and build your own infrastructure. So with this, I will just end it there. Like I mentioned, we are a cloud provider. From my end, I'm a cloud engineer, and what I focus on is on platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. So we have layers of cloud. So we have software as a service. These are the end-to-end solutions, like what you're using with Gmail. If someone has used maybe an ERP solution like from Salesforce, that's also an example of a software as a service solution. From my end, I deal with platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. So these ones are usually tools that developers use to build applications on top of. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. Let me just go to the chat. Let's see if I can respond to anything.
Yeah, thank you so much, Desmond. Really comprehensive presentation on how technologies is actually happening, and really thank you so much for updating us to linking us actually with the upcoming or relevant technologies that even other businesses are even using. Yes, so I can see we have a few questions on the chat. You talked about Salesforce as a software for service. Does Oracle also link with Salesforce, or it has to be an independent service?
By linking from what perspective? So from our end, Salesforce is not, So from our end, Salesforce is not really our product, but we do have some products that compete with Salesforce, like marketing cloud or a social cloud from that end. So we are a competitor of cloud of Salesforce from that end, but we do have tools that enable you to integrate for say Salesforce to maybe our chatbot, or maybe our own ERP solutions from that end.
Great. So you actually have the equivalent of Salesforce within Oracle, which is like now the marketing cloud platform we talked about, and the social.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
Social cloud. Yeah.
Social cloud. Okay. Wonderful. So sorry.
Just to also mention something, so just not to confuse anyone. So remember the credits that Ellie spoke about, the Oracle for Startups credits. They are for use with the platform as a service and infrastructure as a service solutions that we have. So marketing cloud, engagement cloud, and those ones are software as a service solutions. So the credits, they don't cover for the software as a service solutions.
Okay, and in terms of pricing, do you have like an indicative price for that service?
For the marketing cloud service, I might need to check. So it's not one of the products that I cover myself, but you can just write an email to either me, you can copy me and both me and Ellie, and we can check internally. There's an entire team that deals with that.
Okay, so I think maybe on our end, we'll just follow up on the pricing structure and the different software services that the SMEs can actually use, and then we can share that as part of the webinar materials. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a question here on healthcare. How can you use blockchain in healthcare?
So blockchain in healthcare can also be used. One, I remember what was mentioning about there being a blockchain solving a situation whereby people don't trust each other. And in this case, one of the situations whereby people don't trust each other is in the healthcare system. So we have, for example, like Akan, we have Mpisha, we have Karen. All of these hospitals, they need to share data, but they don't really like sharing data among themselves because one, it might lead to loss of clients, if I could say. And a good example of how blockchain can be used in this is that you can create a decentralized system, or rather decentralized blockchain system, whereby all of these healthcare providers can be linked to each other and they can share data, but only the data that is relevant to their own mutual benefit. So not all form of data like maybe the name and email, because there's a situation whereby customers or maybe a patient goes to a hospital and maybe yesterday they were in a previous hospital and they were recommended to go maybe to this now new hospital. But for them to be serviced, they need to repeat the entire process that they did in the previous hospital because these hospitals, they're not sharing any form of data. And now blockchain can be used in this example to share information, but only to a certain limit because healthcare providers, they don't usually trust each other with all of this information. Another case would be also in the insurance industry for the healthcare systems. So they also need to share information between various insurances so that they can be able to see how best to maybe cover expenses of a certain client. Also in the motor industry, you also need to share information so that they can make sure that no form of person is double registered for, because like in the example of motor industry, it's illegal to be insured by more than one insurance company. So they need to share information, but because they don't really trust each other, because you can steal my data, you can steal my patients if I share this data with you, they can create a distributed ledger that only has the need for their day-to-day operations. So that's one way of using blockchain from that. So I can see in emergency care especially. So basically, when it comes to blockchain, that is the best way that I could say it. It's all about multiple healthcare basically sharing information. Another way maybe I could say is on the supply chain. For the healthcare, maybe when they're to make sure that they're not maybe buying or maybe importing counterfeit drugs. If a pharmacist can introduce a blockchain system for the supply chain so that they can have a barcode that makes sure that each and every medicine that is being sold out there, it exists in the distributed ledger and that it's legit and that the origin of this medicine is where it was intended to be. So this can also leverage on not having any form of counterfeit products out there.
I like that. Yes. I think also just adding on to that, it's really more on, protecting the identity of the patient as well. So that's where now blockchain now would come in to either protect the identity of the patient, at the same time also protecting the healthcare provider as well. Yeah. So I know we are 2 minutes beyond time. I'd request maybe we can have maybe 5 more minutes just to wrap up the session. I hope that's okay with all of you. I just had just maybe as a summary for what you were talking about, and also just to address the question that Nduko had earlier raised. So for the companies that do not have any sort of technology right now, so you've talked about chatbots, the chatbots. You've talked about the blockchain, the artificial intelligence, different solutions. So how does some of the enterprises now begin implementing at least even one technology even after this webinar?
Okay. So there was the link that Ellie had sent that shows you the Oracle for Startups page. Once you sign up from that page, you will get a link that allows you to get access to the Oracle Cloud environment. Now the Oracle Cloud environment has all of these solutions focusing on emerging technologies, but we also have a lot of solutions there. If someone is looking for an analytics solution, maybe you just need to analyze some of your spreadsheets, or maybe you have an existing system and you need to analyze some of the data that is coming out of this system. We have analytics solutions from that end. We also have the data management solution, the databases systems. Someone also commented about that. If someone has a team of developers and they just need some tools to enable rapid deployment and development of the applications, we also have tools for that. So we have a lot of solutions. So just from the link that Ellie had sent, there's a sign up page from that, and it will give you the access to get your free credits that you can begin to use to experience some of these solutions. And we are always here in case you need any help.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think I can just maybe highlight on one of the simple ones was the chatbots. You know, I've seen many CEOs, you know, after a meeting that they have, they just pick up their phone and they just, you know, they speak or actually give out, they actually give a summary of the meeting, and that becomes an email that is sent, and then it goes into your calendar to book for the next meeting. So I think using something simple like the chatbot can really help you, even as an entrepreneur, or even if you're a busy executive, to really increase your productivity and to just focus on what you need to get done, so that you don't get bogged by, you know, day-to-day operations, but actually you have the machine thinking and doing the work for you, which is just, you know, like the normal operational tasks for that. So any closing words, Desmond, from your end? I think we don't have any questions on the chat.
From my end, okay, it's been lovely meeting all of you. I would like to hear you, some of the businesses that were present here today, using technology to try and be disruptive in this environment. Thank you for your time. I believe that's it for me.
Wonderful. And because this session was really for the entrepreneurs, I'd like to ask one of the entrepreneurs to give a vote of thanks. Also, it's a chance also just to hear your voice as well. Can anyone volunteer, or I'll have to pick someone? Maybe Chepkemoi, are you able to unmute and say something?
Yeah. So my name is Laura Chepkemoi. I'm not really an entrepreneur, I'm a student, but yeah, I just wanted to hear what they're saying, and you know, I knew that there was something to do with technology that was going to happen. I'm a technology student, so yeah, thank you so much for everything that you said. I felt like I've learned a lot from you guys, and so yeah.
Thank you so much, Chepkemoi. And also, it's good to have students on the call. You're the future workforce, so we can't wait for you to join, you know, finish school and begin working with us as well. Okay, so thank you also. So a big thank you to Desmond and Ellie from Oracle for Startups. Thank you so much for taking your time to really share what you guys are doing, and also providing free cloud credits to all the businesses, whether from ideation, whether you're at prototype stage, whether you are growing your company right now. So it's really cutting across different business level. So we really appreciate for that. And also to all of you who managed to attend, we really do not take for granted that you took 1.5 hours of your busy day to just log into the session and really listen to this presentation as well. And also to the E4Impact platform for allowing us to host this event and to really support the growth and scale up of Kenyan enterprises. So without further ado, I'd like to say thank you and have a wonderful afternoon and the rest of the week as well. We'll be organizing more sessions like this, so we'll definitely send you an email or part of the newsletter to communicate on the next event that's coming up. But I think, Desmond, maybe perhaps we should definitely do a session on data analytics, just to help SMEs, capture data from their website, from their WhatsApp business profile, from, the different social media platforms, so that they can begin making proper business decisions. So I think we'll definitely have a follow-up conversation on that. And, as the entrepreneurs of the session, you'll be actually the first ones to benefit from that. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.